The glory. Forever.
In Jesus' name we pray.
In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen.
Amen. Cut away. Hit it. Cut away. All right. Where's Brother Josh at? Hmm? Where's Brother Josh? Oh, Ethan got it. Ethan got it. Hey, is there a way this mic can come up? This mic right here, in house, a little bit. This particular mic right here, so I ain't gotta yell, so I can know I'm actually up. 1, 2, microphone check. Microphone check. 1, 2. Microphone check. 1, 2. Microphone check. 1, 2. I think that's it right there. You hear pretty good over there? Okay. Where's the young man I was speaking to? The tall guy. Dave. Yeah. The tall brother. Yeah. Okay. There you go. All right. So I want you to repeat your question to everybody, so everybody can hear your question. Y'all can still lead if y'all need to. You know what I'm saying? It's just like a feast with questions.
I believe the whole premise of the question is after the once the daily sacrifice begins, how long would the Antichrist rule for?
Once the daily sacrifice what now ends?
No, starts. Like once he starts to rule, how long will his rule be?
Okay, so you just want to know about his rule, or you want to know about the daily sacrifice?
Well, his rule, I believe it was his ruling.
Cause dude. Okay, all right. So in your mind, how do you think they coincide?
I believe he's here at that point, and
What point?
that's when we flee.
At what point?
During the daily sacrifice?
You believe that the
Oh, when does he? Okay, I guess that's all.
No, I'm just trying to get like what you understand, so I can know what to.
Once he sits on the throne and professes he's God, how long is that for?
Right, that's 3.5 years.
That is.
That's 3.5 years, right?
Right. Okay.
Right. But that's easy. I think you got to go back to originally what you asked me. Is that what y'all confusing? Mixing up?
Yeah, the time period. I didn't want to misquote what you were saying, but it's the time period. So like, I know it's 3.5 years from the daily sacrifice, right? The first. No. Mm-mm. Yeah, I don't. I gotta. That's why I try to get in contact with her. I don't want to mess up her question.
Okay.
But I can ask another question until she.
Oh, she texted?
She hit me on now.
Okay.
So to be continued.
No, I was gonna try to answer right quick.
I got a question.
Yeah.
He's gonna answer your question.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you some clarity.
Okay.
So y'all can understand. But you can put the mic to the phone. She can ask it herself. Oh, she want to answer?
No, yeah.
Okay.
All
right. So go to Daniel 11 right quick. All right, so Daniel chapter 11. Matter of fact, let's start in Daniel 8. Daniel chapter 8. And then after that, we got a question from the brother just walked in. What's your name, bro? What's your name? Darius? Yeah, so we got a question from Darius afterwards, after we answer this one. And then we'll go back. We'll pick it back up. So, go ahead. Yeah.
She said, my question. Yeah, she said my question was
for people online.
In Daniel 7, As in Daniel 7, when the fourth beast reigns or the kingdom is in control, what does it mean when it's, the times and a half? And she said, I know you said 3.5 years, but that doesn't really make sense that they would only rule for 3.5 years since they've kind of been ruling for so long.
Oh, okay. All right, that makes sense. So when you get to Daniel chapter 7, verse 25, we're at the end of the kingdom now. We're at the end of it. When you talk about, when you look at Daniel chapter 7, it starts off at the beginning of the Gentile dynasty, starting off with Nebuchadnezzar, which he ruled for a time. Then after Nebuchadnezzar ruled, then you had Darius and the Medes, Cyrus and the Persians that came up. That would be almost in the Medo-Persian Empire, or Russian Iran in a sense. But they even had their time to rule. Then from there you go down to Alexander the Great. He ruled. Everybody know about that. They done already been. They're done. Then who came up next was Roman Empire. You get what I'm saying? Roman Empire came up, but they're still a part of the Gentile dynasty. They're just the latter part of it, the part that's going to be around when Jesus come back. That's why in Daniel chapter 2, it gives you the description of this kingdom by describing a man. In the beginning of this kingdom would be Nebuchadnezzar, but he would be gold, like the head would be gold. Then his breasts and arms, silver. Then it goes down to the legs, you know what I'm saying? The legs will be brass. And then you get down to the feet, it will be mixed with iron and clay. You see what I'm saying? So you're going from the kingdom being great all the way down, because like if you look at metals, how they traded on the market today, stock market, and as far as precious metals are concerned, gold is pretty high. You can look it up now. You can look at gold is probably busting silver head across like it ain't nothing. Probably gold is running up in the thousands. Silver is running like around 25, 30 bucks. You see what I'm saying? But it started off, the Babylonian dynasty started off with Nebuchadnezzar being the head of this kingdom. And that kingdom was gold. Then as it went down, you know, coming down to his breasts and arms, that would be silver. Then, like I said, it would be brass. Like you think about, you know, the Olympics. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to win brass, do you? You know what I'm saying? You're trying to get gold. You know what I'm saying? But just the, you know, the how they would, you know, liken or how they would measure, you know, the metals or whatever, gold being the top. And then you get down to the last part of this dynasty, it's going to be iron and clay, miry clay. And that is Rome still being around. You know, so when the Lord get back, he going to smash this kingdom on his feet. Why he not going to smash it on his head? Because the feet is what's going to be around when the Lord returns. So back to Daniel chapter 7, hey, all these other kingdoms, they here, but they're not really here. In other words, Rome is here, you know what I'm saying, but it still has some of the drag. I mean, it still got some of the matter of fact, go to Revelation 13, because John gonna see the same thing. John gonna see almost the same thing Daniel saw, but John is gonna see it in our time at the end of the world. So Revelation 13, and we're gonna see that it still has some of the same characteristics that it had when this kingdom first started. So Revelation 13, pick this up at verse 1. Go and read that.
And I stood upon the sand of the sea,
and
saw a beast rise up out of the sea.
All right, go ahead.
I'll start from the top. And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and I saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns.
Okay, so now we're in Revelation, right? Now, Daniel talks about 7 heads and 10 horns, but in this particular case right now, we're not talking about the 10 horns that we saw in Daniel. And Daniel, when it talks about 10 horns, it's talking about the rise of the Roman Empire, 10 times. You understand what I'm saying? That's what that's talking about. In this particular case right here, when it's talking about 7 heads and 10 horns, these 10 horns that we're talking about are these 10 horns that's going to rule at the end with this abomination of desolation. Like, for instance, if you pay attention to the European Union now, or Europe, NATO, well, not NATO, but European Union, they trying to come up with their own army now. You understand what I'm saying? Eventually, it's going to boil down to 10. And this is the 10 that we're talking about right here. But it says, and I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads, right? And the 7 heads would take you back to what this beast was originally made up of. Like, for instance, one head would be Nebuchadnezzar. The next head would be the Medo-Persian Empire. That's 2. The next 4 would be the Greek Empire, but since Alexander the Great fell off, you had the 4 generals come up in his stead. That's a total of 6. Then the last one would be the Roman Empire. See, it's still, the kingdom as a whole still exists. It's still being around because Rome is still carrying this dynasty. You understand what I'm saying? However, when we get down to the end, then you're going to have these 10 armies that's going to come up and fight for these 7 heads. You understand what I'm saying? And that's what it's saying here. And 10 horns, and upon his horns, 10 crowns, because horns represent kings sometimes in the Bible. What else it say?
And upon his heads, the name of blasphemy.
Can read.
And the beast which I saw was like unto the leopard.
Oh, notice what John is saying, right? Where is this leopard coming from? Like, where's it coming from? He said the beast that I saw was like unto what?
A leopard.
Like unto a leopard. So that represents what kingdom? When you go back to, is it Daniel 7 or is it Daniel chapter 8 where the leopard came about? Might have been, trying to see, is it Daniel 7? But anyway, matter of fact, just hold your finger right here. We're gonna see which one it is. Is it 7 and 6? Okay, let's see here. Yeah, Daniel, thank you. So Daniel 7, right? Daniel 7 and 6 says, after this I beheld, and what else?
Lo, another like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl.
Okay, now read verse 4.
The first was like a lion, had eagle's wings.
So we got a lion. We got a lion, right? Okay. Now read verse 5.
And behold, another beast, a second, like to a bear.
Okay, now read verse 7.
After this, I saw in the night visions, and behold, a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible.
Okay, now let's go to Revelation. Because now we at the end of we're in Revelation at the end of the Bible, right? And John is still seeing his kingdom, kind of seeing what Daniel saw, but John is kind of seeing it almost as a whole now. In the end of the world, letting you know that this kingdom still exists. That's why it's called Mystery Babylon, because it's still around. By way of Rome, though. All right, so he said in verse 2, and the beast which I saw what?
And the beast which I saw, a beast rise up out of the sea.
Verse 2.
And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard.
Okay, so back to Daniel, right? It got some of the leopard in it, right? What else to say?
And his feet were as the feet of a bear.
Oh, see, it got some of the bear still in it. Go on and read. What else?
And his mouth as the mouth of a lion.
Oh, wait a minute. His mouth was the mouth of the lion of a lion. Why? Because hey, even though Rome is the one that's here when Jesus get back, they still a part of the Gentile dynasty. So some of their tentacles are still inside the kingdom. That's why people think that, you take it. Remember the Lord say, Nebuchadnezzar, I'm gonna give it to you and your sons to run this whole thing till the Lord get back. That's why Luke 21 it tell you that we're gonna be in captivity until the time when the Gentiles be fulfilled. So it didn't when Nebuchadnezzar died and his kingdom ended, it still was just passed on to his son. You see what I'm saying? But they still around. Go ahead and read what it say.
And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and a great authority. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death.
Okay, so now we down to the one that's supposed to be not in existence anymore. And what we're talking about here, we're talking about Rome. But he makes up one of the 7 heads, right? But all other ones don't exist no more. It's one that's in power right now that's getting you spiritual. You know what I'm saying? That's where you get your Sunday worship from, where you get your Christmas from, which is everybody about to do. Eat anything, pray over it. That come out of Rome. But I think around 430 something AD, if I'm mistaken. 416, 476, I think. 476 AD something, or 467 AD. That's when Rome so-called fell. You see what I'm saying? But they're still around. And that's why I stand here and I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death. Not that it died, it was just had a bad wound on it that everybody think Rome don't exist no more. but it's still around. And he got some of the same characteristics in it from what even Daniel saw. So he said, look, and I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death. And what happened?
And his deadly wound was healed.
Keep
and
reading.
all the world wondered after the beast.
Right, because Rome get ready to come back, though. But what's actually keeping Rome alive? The spiritual aspect of it. Because they got you by way of the church. That's why it's called Mystery Babylon. That's why Revelation called her the mother of harlots, because out of Rome come all your false doctrine. You understand what I'm saying? So now, go back to Daniel chapter 7. This part of the kingdom is still around. Everything else ain't going to be around. But Rome has been ruling for a long time. As a matter of fact, Rome has been around, was even around when Jesus came. Who you think had Jesus killed? Besides Israel, the Romans had Jesus killed. You see what I'm saying? Right, all of them. So they've been around. It just identifies or highlights the end of their time when you get to Daniel 7:25. You understand what I'm saying? It's highlighting the end of it like, hey, this is it now. The Lord is getting ready to come. So the final 3.5 years also highlights the time of the Great Tribulation that's going to take place when it comes to us. Like, it's going to be a time of trouble for 3.5 straight years. You ain't never heard of nothing like that. Like, just 3.5 years of straight hell because of religion. Because of you believing in the word of God. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I know the slave trade was bad, but look, the Bible even tell you there's nothing ever been like this before. And it ain't nothing like this gonna ever happen again. So Daniel 7, pick it up around verse 25.
And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High,
Keep reading.
and think to change times and laws.
Right, so hey, on his agenda, he gonna think to change times and laws. What else?
And they shall be given unto his hands until a time and times and dividing of time.
Right, so talking about Israel, right? He said they're gonna be, or the church in a sense, because you're gonna have other people that make up the church that's gonna go through this as well. It started with Israel, but you're gonna also have other people that are following our God that's gonna catch hell too. But at the same time, he said he's going to speak great words against the Most High and shall wear out the saints of the Most High and think to change times and laws, right? Then it says they shall be given into his hand until a time, talking about 1 year, and times, that's 2 years, and a half a time. So we're talking about 3.5 years. That's how long this great tribulation is going to go on, all right? Because we're at the end of it. Like, this is the climax, and after the climax after this, that's it. Like, the Lord is coming now. So now go to Revelation chapter 11. And we're going to come back to Daniel. Revelation chapter 11. Revelation chapter 11. Pick this up at verse 1. Revelation 11 and 1. Go ahead and read that for me.
And there was given me a reed like unto a rod, and the angel stood, saying, Rise and measure the temple of God, and the altar, and them that worship therein.
Keep reading.
But the court which is without the temple leave out, and measure it not, for it is given unto the Gentiles. And the holy city shall they tread under foot 42 months.
Right, so like time and half a time, that's 3.5 years. However, right here, we're talking about, John is seeing the Lord's temple being measured and stuff like that. But hey, on the court that's outside of this, don't worry about that, because that's going to be given to the Gentiles. Matter of fact, because they trying to figure out where to put the temple now. And they starting to figure it out, that you ain't got to worry about the Dome of the Rock. They're going to take it back to where the court of the Gentiles used to be, and it's starting to ring a bell. Like, there's this guy online named Paul Begley. You might have heard or some of y'all might have heard he's so false. But he think he's so for the Jews and stuff like that. But he went over to Israel and he said it. He was like, you know what? We've started to realize that we don't have to build, the temple on the Dome of the Rock. We can build it right outside in the court of the Gentiles, where how they from back in the day. We said, man, that's what the Bible said. The Bible tells you that. That's why it's saying here, but the court which is without the temple leave out and measure not. You ain't got to worry about measuring that, John, like the Lord showing him. Don't worry about that. For it is given unto the Gentiles, and the holy city shall they tread underfoot 42 months. 42 months is how long? 3.5 years. 12 months is 1 year. 24 months is 2 years. 36 months is 3 years. And another 6 more months, that would be 42 months. That's 3.5 years, right? All right, that's the time of the great tribulation. Read verse 3. What does it say, brother?
And I will give power unto my 2 witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,203 days.
Right, so notice what it say. He said, I'm going to give power unto my 2 witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,203 score days. That's 1,260 days, which is also 3.5 years. 1 score is 20, 2 score is 40, 3 score is 60, right? But he also said, I'm going to give power unto my 2 witnesses, right? So in other words, almost like the same thing you saw with Moses and Aaron during the time when the Lord was taking down Egypt, it's going to be almost like the same thing this time. But you're going to have these 2 that counteracts what's going on with, the beast and the false prophet. You're going to have the Lord, somebody representing the Lord. Like, for instance, you're going to have these 2 witnesses. And we don't know who they are, so don't let nobody tell you they're going to be Moses and Elijah, because that don't make sense for the Lord to bring them back to life and kill them again, then raise them back again 3 days later. That don't make sense. That's stupid. It's going to be somebody among us more than likely. And I pray that it ain't me. One of y'all can have it. I'm trying to get to the wilderness. Brother told me a few weeks ago, Brother Johnny, he said, but Nate, man, Brother Nate, but hey, they going to get up though. I said, yeah, but I don't want to do it. I don't want to die at all, But that's what's going to happen. So you got 42 months. Then you have 1,203 score days, right? Now let's go to Revelation 12, because even during this time, the woman going to be protected during this time. That's going to, be a lot of trouble on this earth, the time of Jacob's trouble. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make sure that we escape this time. You know what I'm saying? The Lord going to have a place to put his church, which is called the wilderness. You understand? That's what we hoping we worthy. We hope we worthy that the Lord allows us to get there. But he's going to give you a time frame of how long you're going to be there. So Revelation 12, pick this up at verse 6 and read that.
And the woman fled into the wilderness, where she hath place prepared of God.
So the woman talking about the church, she gonna flee. She fled into the wilderness, right? Because that's what you need to get to. You need to get to the wilderness. Go ahead.
That they should feed her there 1,203 score days.
Right. So can you bring his mic up, Josh? But the thing about it is, you ain't got to, what's the name? Like, you ain't got to worry about a passport. You ain't got to worry about food and none of that. Read the verse again. What it say?
And the woman fled into the wilderness.
Right, she going to flee into the wilderness. So you're going to have to flee. The problem is, running, leaving everything behind. That's going to be more of a problem than anything. But it says what? The woman fled into the wilderness where she have a place prepared of God. So you ain't got to worry about your partners and, you ain't got to worry about some homeboy hookup trying to get you a flight ticket and buddy passes. Look, God is behind this. All you're going to have to do is have some faith. When you get there, you're going to be good. He said, what? Because people are like, why are we going to eat? We got to get out to the woods, learn how to build. Look, you ain't got to learn about doing none of that. God going to take care of Israel. He going to take care of his church. He said, what? The woman fled into the wilderness where she have a place prepared from God. That's what we talking about, of God or from God. The Lord going to already prepare this place for us, right? You ain't got to worry about nothing. Your biggest thing that you going to have that's hindering you is faith. That's the biggest thing, because look, we going to some place we ain't never seen before. We're going to leave family and friends behind. Some of y'all going to have to leave children behind because they ain't going to want to serve God. I ain't talking about babies. I'm talking about, you may be old to have 25, 26, 30-year-old kids. You're like, I got to go. That's going to hurt. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be faith that's going to be the issue. He said, but the woman fled into the wilderness where she had a place prepared to God. The woman we talking about is just the church. That they should feed her, so that means you're going to have some food, right? Right? They said they're going to feed her there, right? So you ain't got to worry about food every time. We need to learn how to grow our own food in the wilderness. I'll just be like, okay. But look, God going to take care of us. He said, what? And you're going to have clothes. You ain't got to just get there. Have a place prepared to God that they should feed her there 1,000. What else?
203 score days.
Right, so that's 1,260 days. All right, so now let's look at it again. Revelation 12, pick it up around verse 14. Now notice what he's going to say. Revelation 14 and 14, read that, please.
And to the woman were given 2 wings of the great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness.
Going into the wilderness, right? Go ahead and read.
Into her place where she is nourished.
She's going to be nourished. She's going to be taken care of. You're going to be fed. You're going to be nourished. You ain't got to worry about nothing. You're just going to have to get there, right? She's going to be nourished for how long?
For a time.
That's 1 year. Keep reading. We already saw 1,260 days, right? We already saw 42 months, right? I already saw 3.5 years. That's what we talking about. So now he going to even tell you what, for a time, that's 1 year. Keep reading.
In times.
And times.
In half a time.
That's the 2 years right there. So you got 1 year, which is a time. You got time, which is 2 years. That's 3 years right there. And then you got a half a time, right? From what?
from the face of the serpent.
Right, so you're going to be in the wilderness for 3.5 years. That time that we're going to be in there, that's going to be the time that the Great Tribulation is going on for 3.5 years. That's your time times a half a time. Does that help? All right, praise the Lord. We go back to Daniel. I think that's good. If you got it, we good. All right, cool. All right, so he had a question. They came up and beat y'all to it. Am I going? I read buttons, come on.
Oh, I see now. Anyways, so I was trying to figure out in Genesis when we was talking about Eve and the serpent, and you were saying how her eating the fruit wasn't literal. It was a conversation between her and the serpent. I was trying to understand, like, what gave you the impression that there was a conversation instead of it being literal, you know what I'm saying? Like, even when I was asking about, like, when God was saying that they could eat of any fruit of the garden, but not eat of the tree of life. Mm-hmm. I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't, like, he wasn't saying as far as conversation-wise, he was saying, like, you know, I don't know. I just don't.
Right. You
just
want
to understand on that, that's all.
So, say it again? Oh, so you're just trying to figure out, like, what kind of trees they were. Was it physical or spiritual?
That, but more so like what I don't know how to explain it. How did you know like that the conversation between Eve and the serpent happened? It wasn't just him telling her something, giving her the apple to eat. You know, I don't know. Like
right.
Because when you read it, like the way you read it, it doesn't seem like it was a conversation held between them two. You know what I'm saying? It just seems like more the ape and the serpent just fooled her. You know what I'm saying? Into eating the fruit that she wasn't supposed to eat. That's why I read it, you know what I'm saying? But when you explained it to me, it kind of threw me off a little bit as far as conversation. So I just want to understand that.
Okay, I got you. Good question, man. All right, so let's go back to Genesis right quick. Let's go back to Genesis. And let's see what actually took place in the garden. Genesis chapter 2. We're going to pick this up at we're going to start this at I think around verse 16, if I'm mistaken, when it first came up. All right, so Genesis 2, verse 15. Go and read that for me.
And the Lord God took the man and put him into the Garden of Eden to dress it and to keep it. And the Lord God commanded the man, saying, of every tree of the garden thou mayest freely eat, but of the tree of knowledge of good and evil thou shalt not eat of it. For in the day that thou eatest thereof, thou shalt surely die.
Okay, so now first and foremost, right? He said, but of every tree of the garden, in verse 16, of every tree of the garden thou mayest freely eat, right? Then he says, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil thou shalt not eat of it, for in the day that thou eat thereof thou shalt surely die, right? So there's some tree that you gonna eat of and you're gonna die, right? But notice what he called the tree though. What's the tree called? Verse 17. What is this tree called? Right, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, right? So right there, you got to think to yourself when you're reading this, is there a tree out here somewhere that's called knowledge of good and evil? If there's a tree of knowledge of good and evil somewhere around here, physically, we should be able to find it, right? But it's not. There's no tree like that. But now, let's go into Genesis chapter 3. And that's where it first came up at, right? So Genesis chapter 3, and let's see what's going to happen here. Genesis 3, and we're going to pick this up at verse 1. Genesis 3 and 1. When you get it, go and read that for me.
Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field, which the Lord God had made. And he said unto the woman, Yea, hath God said, Ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden? And the woman said unto the serpent, We may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God hath said, Ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die.
Right, so once again now, so evidently Eve got the memo, right? She talking to Satan. And Satan came to her real slick. You know, he asked her a question in a way where it makes you want to respond. You see what I'm saying? He didn't come up to her and say, what God say to you, girl? He ain't say that. He said in verse 1, yeah, have God said, you should not eat of every tree of the garden. So he asked the question in a way where you feel like you need to defend what God said. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's real slick. He set her up. So in verse 2, the woman said unto the serpent, talking to the serpent, it says, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, which is fine. Lord, ain't got no problem with that. But of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God hath said, ye should not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest you die, right? What is saying in verse 4? Go ahead.
And the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die.
Keep reading.
For God doeth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be open.
Wait a minute now. Because you mean to tell me her eyes weren't open already when she was talking to Satan? Was she blind? Was she walking around blind or what? So what does he mean when he say your eyes going to be open? I know y'all know. I'm trying to see what because he said when he read it. So I'm trying to get how you reading it now. You see what I'm saying? Like when he say God know when you eat of this tree, your eyes going to be open. But you talking about her physical eyes? Huh? Talking about her what? Her spiritual eyes, right? You see what I'm saying? That's going to take this out of the realm of being physical trees. You see what I'm saying? So he said, look, the day you eat thereof, then your eyes shall be open. And what else?
Ye shall not surely die.
Huh? Your eyes going to be open. And what's going to happen?
You went somewhere else on me, my bad. Yeah, you went down, my bad. But God does know that.
Oh, I went down on you?
Yeah, like I was up at 4. You should not
surely die. We read 4, didn't I? Oh, okay. Well, that's cool. Just read 5 for me.
For God doeth know that in the day that ye eat thereof, and your eyes should be open, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil.
Oh, no, I had already repeated that. I was just talking to him about that. Wasn't I talking to you about that? I said, open how? I said, how your eyes gonna be open? Mentally and spiritually. It's all good. But he said, for God doth know that in the day you eat thereof, then your eyes shall be open, and you shall be as gods, right? Knowing good and evil. So when you eat from this tree, you're going to know something, right? Like you're going to know good and evil, right? Go ahead and read. What does it say? Verse 6.
And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, that it was pleasant to the eyes, and the tree to be desired, to make one wise.
Okay, notice what it said. When the woman saw that the tree was good for food, right? And that it was pleasant to the eyes, a tree to be desired to make one what?
Wise.
Not fat. Not full. To make one wise. You understand what I'm saying? Like these are all the characteristics of you sitting down having a conversation. You see what I'm saying? Like, cause you sit down and talk to somebody, they breaking off some knowledge to you. You walk away, you know something, you just had a conversation. But the Lord is, we're dealing with Jesus talking to Moses. And matter of fact, when he came in the flesh, he would talk in parables. He would talk like in riddles. You know what I'm saying? Like another place, I think Luke chapter 8, around verse 9, they asked the Lord, why you talking in these riddles? And he said, for you it is given to know the mysteries of the kingdom, but to them it ain't given. So he would talk like this, you know what I'm saying? In a sense, like it seems like a riddle or an analogy, but it actually means something. But for the normal mind, they can't get it. It's real simple though. You may even say when you're talking to somebody, you hearing the word of God, and you say, oh, that was good right there. Like you just ate a sandwich or something. You know what I'm saying? I just go to church, man. They used to be like, that was good. But it said the woman saw that the tree was good for food and that it was pleasant to the eyes, a tree to be desired to make one what?
She took of the fruit.
Make one wise. Go ahead and read.
She took of the fruit thereof and did eat.
Keep reading.
And gave also unto her husband with her. And he did eat.
Go ahead.
And the eyes of them both were open. And they knew that they were naked.
Oh, so now they know something. It said they knew that they were naked. Go ahead and read. What else?
And they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons.
Okay, keep reading. What else to say?
And they heard the voice of the Lord God.
But first off, before that, they was walking around naked, wasn't no problem. Now they know something. They done, Satan done talk to Eve. She take it back to her husband. He sit there and engage in this conversation with her. Now they're going to go sew some fig leaves together to cover themselves up. Genesis chapter 2 let you know they was naked. It wasn't no problem. But now they're ashamed of it. Why? Because they done sat here. She done sat here and talked to Satan and took it back to her husband. But I'm sure God would have let them know that in time. But, they jumped the gun on it. And now because of that, hey, we paying the, penalty for it. But what it say in verse 8?
And they heard the voice of the Lord God walking in the garden in the cool of the day.
Uh-huh.
And Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of the Lord God amongst the trees of the garden.
Go ahead.
And the Lord God called unto Adam and said unto him, Where art thou? And he said, I heard thy voice in the garden, and I was afraid, because I was naked, and I hid myself.
Now Adam is running from the Lord now. Lord come in the garden in the cool of the day looking for Adam. He knew where he was, but hey, Adam is hiding himself because he knew he was naked, right? Now notice what the Lord gonna say. What it say in verse 11?
And he said,
Uh-huh.
Who told thee that thou was naked?
He didn't say where you sat down and ate that, where you get that apple from, did he? He said, who told you? Like somebody told you something you weren't supposed to know. You get what I'm saying? Like that takes it out of the realm of you just eating something. Somebody, there's a conversation that went on. You understand? He said, who told you that thou was naked? Keep reading.
Hast thou eaten of the tree?
Uh-huh.
Whereof I commanded thee that thou shouldest not eat?
Right, so have you eaten of the tree that I commanded you that thou shouldest not eat? Did you talk to him? I told you not to talk to him, man. But now skip down to verse 24 and we're going to move. Verse 24, now the Lord's going to pass out punishment. He's going to kick Adam and Eve out the garden. But pay attention to what it says in verse 24. Read that for me, please.
So he drove out the man,
Uh-huh.
and he placed at the east of the garden of Eden
Uh-huh.
cherubims and of a flaming sword, which turned every way to keep the way of the tree of life.
Oh, wait a minute now. So notice what's happening. Like now the Lord going to put these cherub angels around this tree of life. Like to keep the way of the tree of life. In other words, like everlasting life is shut off now. You understand what I'm saying? Because remember I said earlier, if you're eating from the tree of life, what you think gonna happen? You're gonna live forever. You see what I'm saying? If you eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, which produces death, you're gonna die. And what we've been doing, we've been dying ever since. So the goal is to get back to this tree of life. Go to Revelation 22 right quick. Oh, absolutely. Revelation 22 would have been a whole lot different. We wouldn't have had to worry about this. We could have, more than likely, we would have walked into the seventh day and then might have became God. I don't know. Revelation 22 and verse 14. Read that for me, please.
Blessed are they that do his commandments.
Now pay attention. It said, now we're at the end of the Bible, right? We done came full circle because we're trying to get back to everlasting life, right? He said, blessed are they that do his commandments, that what?
That they may have right to the tree of life.
Oh, wait a minute. That they may have right to the tree of life. But remember now, we got these cherub angels that block the tree of life. Once Adam and Eve sinned, he done blocked it off. You can't get to it now. But hey, God and Jesus done came and died for our sins, giving you a shot back at it. But what you gonna have to do to get back to this tree of life? To get this everlasting life? Do what? Keep the commandments. To get you back to the tree of life. That's what you're gonna need. But we've been blocked off now. This is why we dying. Taking it out of just a physical realm, this is more spiritual now. It was something spiritual as far as eating something physical, that wasn't it. Now, it was some trees in the garden we could eat from, but he turned it up a notch when he introduced that tree of knowledge of good and evil. Told you don't mess with that. You understand what I'm saying? But now let's go back a little bit. I see your finger. We'll come back to you. Let's go back. Go to Hosea right quick. Hosea. Hosea chapter 10. We're going to pick this up at verse 12. Hosea 10 and verse 12. Hosea 10 and verse 12. All right, go and read that for me.
Sow to yourselves in righteousness, reap in mercy, break up your fallow ground.
Right, so the Lord is giving this example of Israel, right? He said, sow to yourselves in mercy, right? In righteousness, reap in mercy. In other words, you've been sowing wickedness. You've been reaping none but sin. You need to change it up, you know, and invest in righteousness. In other words, you know, sow to yourselves in righteousness, reap in mercy. What'd he say?
Break up your fallow ground.
Right, so now he's giving you an example of how you would deal with farming. Before you go put some crop in the ground, seeds and stuff like that, there are certain things you have to do to the ground in order for you to plant these seeds and stuff. But he's saying that, or giving you an analogy, using a parable, you know what I'm saying? And he's really talking about what you need to do as a person. He's addressing Israel because we've been dropping the ball. So he's saying, look, break up your fallow ground. In other words, look, that hard head of yours, you need to humble yourself. He said, look, break up your fallow ground for what?
For it is time to seek the Lord.
It is time to seek the Lord till he do what?
Till he come and rain righteousness upon you.
Right, because that's eventually what will happen once you start planting stuff like that in the ground. You're going to put some seeds down, and then you need some water in order for it to come up, right? But he's saying to you, hey, break up your fallow ground, sow to yourselves in righteousness, reap in mercy, break up your fallow ground. Then he says at the end of the verse, till he come and rain righteousness upon you. Sounds just like farming, don't it? But go ahead and read what else he say? Verse 13, because he's going to tell you, what you been doing, and this ain't been working for you. He say what?
You have plowed wickedness.
Look, you've been plowing wickedness. Keep reading.
You have reaped iniquity.
You have reaped iniquity. You've been plowing wickedness. You have reaped sin. So your way ain't been working. Then what he say, brother?
You have eaten the fruit of lies.
Oh, wait a minute. You've eaten what?
The fruit of lies.
Oh, wait. You've eaten the fruit of lies. That's exactly what they ate in the garden, the fruit of lies. You see what I'm saying? But you don't see a tree around here that got lies coming off of it, do you? You see what I'm saying? He just taking you as far as like he would give you an example. Matter of fact, let's look at something else. Go to Matthew 7 right quick. Matthew chapter 7. Matthew chapter 7. And we're going to pick this up at verse 15. Matthew 7 and verse 15. Read that for me.
Beware of false prophets, which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravening wolves.
Keep reading.
You shall know them by their fruits.
What am I doing that? No, wait. Oh, okay, a moment just come. All right, go ahead. Read it again from the top.
Beware of false prophets, which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravening wolves. You should know them by their fruits.
Now notice what he told you, right? He said, beware of false prophets, right? In verse, where we at, man? Oh, here 15. It is right here. Okay, I'm looking at it. Beware of false prophets which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravening wolves, right? Go on and read. What does he say?
You shall know them by their fruits.
You should know them by their fruits. Go ahead. Wait a minute. You're going to know them by what? By their fruits, right? Because remember I was telling you when you came up earlier, he just likening, he gave you an example, but hey, he's just talking about Satan. You know what I'm saying? Like that tree of knowledge of good and evil. Don't talk to him. Likewise, but look at a man though. Does a man have fruits growing off of him? You don't see that, right? So he just giving, once again, using an analogy. You see what I'm saying? Like he'll break it down like in a simple term so you can understand the point that he's trying to get across. And that's all that happened in Genesis. You know what I'm saying? All right, praise the Lord. All right, so I think Sister Claudette, he was next. Huh?
Thank you. First, I wanted to finish what Brother Dave was saying. I'm kind of scary at the point where if that heifer, like the end of this year in August, if she is sacrificed, if they do show that, what's going to happen next. But if they don't show it,
wait, say that one more time.
Because
if she's sacrificed when?
I thought she's supposed to be sacrificed at 2 years. I thought they're supposed to be like trying to mimic us, so do it like with a 2-year-old heifer like Moses.
Right, well, that's the goal. That is the goal, but we can't say for sure that's when. But
okay,
they would like to do it. They wanted to get 2 years old without a blemish, and if it does, they're going for it.
Okay, now that's the scary thing because then when do we supposed to do what we supposed to do? Like try to get to the wilderness? Is it going to be like
you're not supposed to do nothing right then, though? No, not right then. No, matter of fact, go to Daniel chapter 8 right quick. You ready to go? All right,
don't want to be out of the loop.
Daniel chapter 8. Let's look at something. We're going to look at Daniel 8. And let's pick this up at around verse, start this at verse 8. Daniel 8 and verse 8. Daniel 8 and verse 8. When you get it, go and read from me.
Therefore, the he-goat waxed very great. And when he was strong, the great horn was broken, for it came up four notable ones toward the four winds of heaven, and out of one of them came forth a little horn, which waxed exceeding great, toward the south, and toward the east, and toward the pleasant land. And it waxed great, even to the host of heaven, and it cast down some of the host and of the stars to the ground.
Okay, so now the he-go we talking about, once again, when you look at Daniel 7, Daniel 2, we'll just stick with Daniel 7. This he-go we talking about, Alexander the Great in this particular, this case right here. Therefore the he-goat waxed very great, and when he was strong, the great horn was broken, talking about at his peak, as far as Alexander, the Greek Empire, when Alexander the Great, when at the peak of his reign, he died. Then it says the great horn was broken, and for it came up four notable ones. So when he died, you had four other ones come up, which would be his four generals, right? Then it says four notable ones toward the four winds of heaven. Then what else? Verse 9.
And out of one of them came forth a little horn, which waxed exceedingly great.
Right, so out of... My wife is crazy, y'all. I should show y'all her on FaceTime. I got to put this down. But anyway, she said it waxed great, even to the host of heaven, right? So, matter of fact, verse 9, I'm sorry. And out of one of them came forth a little horn. So now, keep in mind, anytime you see anything about this little horn, that's going to take you back to Daniel chapter 7. Because Daniel chapter 7 is going to also introduce a little horn also. All right? Now, like I told you earlier, when you look at horns in the Bible, sometimes it represents kings, okay? But this little horn is a little different than everybody else, okay? This little horn, most kings, for the most part, their main concern is rulership. You know what I'm saying? Rulership as far as taking down other countries and nations and stuff like that. They're not really concerned about, who cares about what you do religiously? Like, Trump ain't concerned about what you do religiously. I mean, he's a king, but he ain't the king of the world. The king of the world is the Pope. But he ain't worrying about what you do. Most kings ain't caring about that. They fighting over land and trying to conquer and stuff like that. But this little horn has a totally different agenda. His agenda is to get you here. You know what I'm saying? And that's why the Bible, in a sense, kind of separates him from all the other horns. That's why Daniel 7 says, and another little horn. And even right here, it says, and out of one of them came forth a little horn. Out of what? That, like right after the Greek dynasty fell, then, hey, you got this Roman Empire going to come up, but pay attention to this little horn because he's going to be around. Go ahead and read what else?
Which waxed exceeding great toward the south and toward the east.
Go ahead.
And toward the pleasant land.
That's right. So he's going to wax his power going to become greater and greater. Verse 10.
And it waxed great even to the host of heaven.
Right. So look, he going to wax great even to the host of heaven. In other words, talking about us, we are the ones that represent the heavens, sisters and brothers. We are the host of heaven. You understand? Like, we represent the kingdom of God. All right, but he gonna take us down. That's what Daniel 7 talking about. You know what I'm saying? That's what is gonna end up happening when it's all said and done during the time of the great tribulation. He gonna wax great even to the host of heaven. And what else?
And it cast down some of the host and of the stars to the ground.
Right. So hey, some of us gonna die. You know what I'm saying? And I understand why you feel that way because, you know, you want to be on guard. And that's why, you know, we say pay attention to all the numbers that God give you. Pay attention to the 2,300 days. That's very important. You ain't got to wait till the 1260. That's it. You know, you got 2,300 days in the Bible for a reason. Like, I would advise you pay attention to that because you can kind of, make some plans around that.
Can I say something off of that?
Uh-huh.
If you don't do that, that's where it says you got to leave off the rooftop and all. Just leave it.
Right, that's at the last moment, yeah. Right, last moment. That's when you get down to the last 30 days, right before it jump off. And I can show you that. But it said what? So he waxed toward the east, toward the pleasant land. What else?
And it waxed great, even to the host of heavens. And it cast down some of the host and of the stars to the ground and stamped upon them.
Go ahead. So he gonna take some of us down. Keep reading. What else?
Yea, he magnified himself, even to the prince of the host.
Right. So the prince of the host will be Jesus. He gonna magnify. Matter of fact, he gonna be around when Jesus gets back. That's why earlier when we was talking about Daniel chapter 7, hey, the only part that makes a difference or that matters at this time right now is the part of the dynasty that still exists. And that's Rome. That's Roman Empire. They coming back. But all the other ones, you know, they're not ruling right now. You know what I'm saying? They had their time, and the remaining part of their kingdom is wrong. But he said he magnified himself even to the prince of the host, and by him what happened?
The daily sacrifice was taken away.
Okay, so why we got this daily sacrifice being taken away? Because what you were asking about, it's going to start once they find this heifer. You know, the red heifer, the one that fits the criteria that they're looking for, then boom, that's going to jump it off. When they place this man, this abomination of desolation, you know, when they bring him in, when the armies come into Jerusalem and stuff like that, matter of fact, we'll read that, hey, they're going to stop the daily sacrifice. But look, it said what? He magnified himself even to the prince of the host, and by him the daily sacrifice was taken away. And what else?
And the place of his sanctuary was cast down.
Keep reading.
And an host was given him against the daily sacrifice
now, it
by
says
reason.
And a host was given him, right? Against the daily sacrifice. You know what I mean when it said a host was given him? He gonna have his own army, in other words. Like, remember, we the host of heaven, but he gonna have his own host. He gonna have his own army that's gonna represent him. That's why it's saying a host was given him against the daily sacrifice by what?
Reason of transgression. And it cast down the truth to the ground.
Right, so hey, y'all, you know, gonna be some people around here still preaching and stuff like that and still, you know, fighting for the truth, but a lot of us gonna lose because this is it. You know, like, I understand what's on the line. Becoming a God is on the line too. That first resurrection, that's on the line too. So whatever the case, don't take that mark. Don't bow down. If you got to die for the word, you know, you got to die for the word. That's easier said than done. I ain't going to even lie. I almost threw up because it's hard to think about that. I mean, I know, you know what Peter said? Peter like, Lord, I got you. Death came on the scene. He was like, I don't know him. He was like, yeah, you was with him. He was like, no, I wasn't. They say he cursed and sweared. So we were cursing him out. It was like, man, get out my face with that nonsense. I don't know him. You know, so, you know, right now, we ain't really got no pressure being applied, you know. But it's going to be a bad time. But whatever the case is, you know, don't let that, you know, we just going to have to have faith, man. That's really what this is going to all be about. Because at the end of the day, like I say, we trying to get this everlasting life. You know, he even tell you don't be afraid of them that can kill the body, right? But you need to worry about the one that can kill body and soul in hell. So, you know, I know we can say it loosely and stuff because right now we're allowed to convocate, right? We're allowed to fellowship and stuff like that. But things gonna change. You know, we was riding up here, you know, this morning. And we were just talking about the music and how things are starting to change. You know, I was telling them, like, give it about 3 to 5 years. This is really gonna start taking over the music industry. You know what I'm saying? Just with righteousness, because we like starting to blow up everywhere. But, you know, that's just something to comfort us because we know what's really about to happen. You know, it's too many Israelites waking up, man. We're waking up all over the place. And I'm telling you, I can really start to see, like, how they're going to get mad. You know what I'm saying? I can see, like, it's almost everywhere you turn. It's all over the place. You know what I'm saying? Like, 10 years ago, it wasn't like this. You know what I'm saying? So just think in the last 3 years, how it's almost I used to say like every 5 to 10 people you talk to, they know somebody Israel. But that number is starting to narrow down, like 1 out of 6, 1 out of 4. You know, somebody knows it. But this is what God said was going to happen. It's starting to happen now. But that's just taking us down to the prophecy starting to be fulfilled. And this is one of them that we got to look out for, right? He said what? And host was given him against the daily sacrifice by reason of transgression, and it cast down the truth to the ground, and it practiced and prospered. Verse 13, what it say?
Then I heard one saint speaking, and another saint said unto the certain saint, which spake, how long shall be the vision concerning the daily sacrifice?
Okay, so the question on the table is, how long shall be the vision concerning the daily sacrifice? What did he say?
In the transgression of desolation.
Talking about this abomination of desolation and transgression of desolation. What else?
To give both sanctuary and the host to be trodden underfoot.
Because he's going to trod us underfoot, but he's asking, how long is this going to happen? What he going to say, brother?
And he said unto me, unto 2,300 days, and then shall the sanctuary be cleansed.
Right, that's when the Lord going to make his return, right? But now let's go over to Daniel chapter 11. Because you got this number out here, you got 2,300 days out here, right? Now, what you have to understand is that when they sacrifice this animal, when they, you know, that's going to start off the daily sacrifice. It can't just be them, you know, like for instance, they've been doing stuff lately. You know, they've been inviting nations up and stuff like that to watch us kill an animal and stuff. But what you have to look for, the continuance, like them doing this on a consistent basis. That's what right now, really what they're doing is they just kind of, what do you call it? Dang it.
Dehumanizing us, desensitizing.
Desensitizing. That's what they're doing right now. Because, you know, we ain't been paying attention to no animals being sacrificed and stuff like that. Now, over the past year or two, it's been all over the place. Now they're getting bored, inviting people, nations up to come watch them kill an animal. I'm like, man, you know what I'm saying? But 20, 30 years ago, this wasn't happening. We don't think about none of that. All, you know, they might have been talking about the temple, but even now that's becoming more prevalent. But sacrificing an animal, now that's starting to see this being talked about a lot. You know what I'm saying? And then on top of that, that animal hasn't blemished yet. You know, I don't know if it's gonna blemish. You know, next year probably be 2 years, right?
Watching yesterday, they have 70 nations over there, and they sacrifice an animal a month ago.
Right.
Under the 70 nations or something.
Yes.
So they're talking about a daily sacrifice. They want to start Mount Olive or something. We was watching.
Right. Well, I mean, just think about the talk though. Like how all of a sudden this conversation started getting out here like this. You know, talking about killing animals. Like where it's coming from? But it's the Bible. Like it's starting to unfold before us. You know what I'm saying? But Daniel chapter 11. Let's kind of look at this. Just things you got to pay attention to, because the conversations we having about this, Sunday church don't have no idea about this. They don't know. Like this stuff is hard. This is like trigonometry to them. And it ain't like it's hard to understand. It got to be based on you willing to keep God's commandments and humble yourself. All right, so Daniel 11. Let's pick this up at, let's start this at verse 31. Still talking about this little horn. Daniel 11:31. Go and read that, please.
An arm shall stand on his part.
Okay, so now Jesus told you in Matthew 24, right? He said, when you see the abomination of desolation stand in the holy place, right? Whoso read, let him understand, right? Talking about going back to Daniel the prophet, right? So in Daniel, we coming back. We just didn't read Matthew 24, but the Lord referred you back to Daniel. But he also said, when you see the abomination of desolation stand in the holy place, whoso read, let him understand. And a lot of people teach that, you know, when you see the abomination of desolation stand in the holy place, it's time for you to run. Look. When he's standing in the holy place himself, you ain't got time to run. It's too late for you to run. What the Lord was talking about, we back in Daniel, and it's telling you how he gonna stand. It says, "And arms shall stand on this part." Go ahead and read what it say.
Pollute and they shall pollute the sanctuary.
Right. So you know how arms are, right? Army's gonna stand on this part. So army's gonna come in Jerusalem. All right, pay attention, because it's almost like what happened in 70 AD. It's in Luke 21. When the armies came and surrounded Jerusalem, he said to know that the desolation thereof is not, but that was referring to the siege of Jerusalem, 70 AD. However, at the end of the world, it's almost happening the same way. He said, look, and arms gonna stand on this part. When the armies come down to Jerusalem, right? Go ahead and read. What else?
And they shall pollute the sanctuary of
strength. They're gonna pollute the sanctuary of strength. Keep reading.
And shall take away the daily sacrifice.
And they're gonna take away the daily sacrifice. Go ahead and read. What else?
And they shall place the abomination that maketh desolate.
And they're gonna place the abomination of that make desolate, right? So they got a few things they're gonna do. First thing they're gonna do, arms gonna stand on this part. They're gonna pollute the sanctuary of strength. They're gonna take away the daily sacrifice, because they're gonna be sacrificing animals, right? But we know that's gonna be for 2,300 days. They're gonna be no, they're not. That's gonna start off your 2,300 day count. They're not gonna sacrifice 2,300 days. That's just gonna start off the count to the Lord getting back here to cleanse the sanctuary. All right, but now go to Daniel 12 right quick. Daniel chapter 12, and we're gonna pick this up at verse 11. Daniel chapter 12, verse 11. Go on and read.
And from the time that the sacrifice shall be taken away.
Okay, so now look, we saw what was gonna happen in Daniel 11, right? Now we're getting the time frame. It says, from the time that the daily sacrifice shall be taken away. What else?
And the abomination that maketh desolate set up.
And they're gonna set the abomination up, right? The time that they take away the daily sacrifice and the abomination of desolation set up, what is gonna be?
There shall be 1,290 days.
Okay, so check this out. It's going to be 1,290 days, right? So, from the time that the daily sacrifice shall be taken away in the abomination of desolation set up, there should be 1,290 days. How long is the Great Tribulation? That's how many days? 1,000 what? Right. That's 1260, right? So 1290, right? Because he says it's going to be 1,290 days, right? Minus 1260 is what? 30 days, right? So from the time they stop the daily sacrifice, you got 30 days before the abomination of desolation stand in the holy place. You understand what I'm saying? Like you got 30 days. In other words, that's like the crunch time. That's like you got 30 days. Look, if you're in Jerusalem on the rooftop, you better come down and run. You ain't got no more time. However, don't forget about the 2,300 days, though. You understand? Like the 2,300, matter of fact, before we get to, all y'all put 2,300 days on your paper. Everybody put 2,300 days on their paper. All right? And under 2,300 days, put minus 1,290. Minus 1,290. And does everybody understand where we get these numbers from? Everybody understand where we get 1,290 from? Y'all sure? You get 1,290 because it's going to be 30, they're going to stop the daily sacrifice, and it's going to be 30 days left on top of the 1,260. 1,260 is Great Tribulation, right? All right, so you got 1,290. Subtract that from 2,300. That is what? 1,010, right? So how many days would they be sacrificing these animals? You just said it. 1,010 days. That's how long they're going to be sacrificing animals. So you divide that by 365. You can use your phones, guys. You're going to get trying to get as close as possible. I think it's going to be like 2.8, 2.6 something. How long? What does it say? Right, 2.76. So a little over 2.5 years. Whatever the 7.6 come out to. I can't say 3, but almost 2.5, something like that. Good to see you too, man. I didn't have a chance to greet you, man. You been doing okay? Oh, good to see you. Okay, bro. But yeah, so it's almost 2 point, whatever that 7.6 come up to. It's going to be, we know it's over 2 years, right? So with that time, right, that's where you have to look at the numbers, Sister Claudette. You have to look at the numbers right there and that 1,010 and say, okay, all right, maybe we need to, figure out some things. You get what I'm saying? Maybe we need to talk about, okay, like for instance, one brother I like to give an example, Brother Will in Atlanta. He don't have his legs. You know what I'm saying? Like we ain't gonna wait till the last. I'm not waiting till the last 30 days to try to move old people around. People that are sick and ill. I'm not doing it. Cause at them last 30 days, bruh, if I got stuck, I'm leaving everybody. So I'm gonna be trying to get out of here ahead of time. They probably gonna be beating us up in Jerusalem. Esau's gonna be mad. He probably be throwing darts at us and everything. But we're gonna use that time to try to get out of here. Don't wait till the last 30 days, man. That's what I'm saying. You got that 1,010 days right there. You understand? That's almost 2 years. 2 years, because 3 years equals what? 360. What's 365 times 3? 1,095? 365 times 3? So yeah, you're right. You was right, brother. When you said almost 3 years, you're right. 80 something days short. You know what I'm saying? Of 3 years. So you got all that time right there. Can y'all explain it? So y'all understand that? I ain't telling when you should leave. I'm not saying that. I'm not telling you when you should leave. Nah.
The closer you wait, the worse it's gonna be.
Huh?
The closer you wait, the worse it's gonna be.
I mean, just use it. Just be mindful of the time. Like when God tell you about a daily sacrifice, be mindful of that. Don't just wait till they bring the Pope in there and you start seeing the armies. It's too late now. But the numbers in the Bible for a reason. Why would he tell you about 2,300 days and then give you all this in Daniel 11 and 12 and stuff like that for you not to be able to apply it? Oh, we gonna let it, yeah. But if something happened to us, because they coming after the teachers too, you know. So if we don't hear, if we're not here and you don't, you know what I'm saying, you should know this. That's why you come to church. You know what I'm saying? But y'all should know this stuff. You gotta save yourself, man. And you know, that's what all this stuff is for. But don't wait down to the last minute. I wouldn't advise that. Some of the brothers, Lord willing, we're live. We gonna be on the phone trying to figure out what we gonna do, trying to get the older sisters, the babies and mothers and all that. That's when you really gonna see us come together and work this thing out. Right now, we still trying to work and survive. But look, when they kill the first animal, I'm quitting. I ain't gonna quit like that. When I'm gonna quit, I'm going hardcore with preaching. I'm going off on everybody, mama, daddy. I don't care because I know like it's gonna be we're almost at the end of the world. You know, so I'm gonna try to crowd everybody I can, and at the same time trying to make moves to get, you know, people we can where they need to be. I believe the Lord gonna take care of us, but at the same time, you know, that last 30 days, that's crunch time. You get caught in that, man. You know, people say that's gonna be a long wait. Look, the angel gonna take care of us, but pay attention to them. Pay attention when they first start their daily sacrifice. That's what you need to look out for as well. Any other questions? Anything online? Go ahead, brother.
The question is, once you start growing your beard and your hair and stuff, are you allowed to cut it off completely, like shave it off? Or you don't supposed to shave it off?
I wouldn't advise that, bro. Let's go read it. Why are you asking that? You want to like regrow it or something?
No, I seen a brother with a beard, and he shaved it all off.
Why?
I don't know.
I mean, my barber messed up my face and I had to start over, but that was only.
All right. The reason why I happened to watch one of Jediah, and he shaved his whole face and head.
Mm-hmm.
So I was wondering about shaving. Do you supposed to shave your beard? That's the only reason why.
I mean, I don't know. Is there a reason why he did that?
I don't know.
Yeah, you got to ask him and see why.
Yeah. And then there was another brother I seen that shaved his face, and he said it was okay.
Right.
But I ain't trying to shave mine.
Yeah, I don't see it. I can't see it in the Bible where it says okay.
Yeah, I was just wondering.
I'm saying, doesn't it have something to do with making a vow to God for the fellas? I can't remember.
Talking about your hair?
Yeah.
I don't know about your face though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I read it. When one of
yeah,
the guys
the Nazarite vow and stuff like that.
Yeah, when he shaved everything off to make the vow. Yeah, I think it's
because I think Paul had to do that or something in Acts, something like that. Yeah. But that got something to do with the priest. They ain't here today, so. You know that, right? They ain't here today. But anything else? Why she look for that? He.
Me and Joe was talking about Thanksgiving, and the little boy went across the street yesterday, day after Thanksgiving, and they gave him some food. Should he eat that food?
Day after Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
Depends on what it is.
Turkey, rice, gravy, baked macaroni and cheese, corn.
What's wrong with that?
It was too because I got one answer from one, and I just wanted to make sure.
What's wrong with that?
Yeah.
And I told her, I said, well, if that's the case, now, my mom goes Sunday church, and I know
You got to get in the mic, just.
my mom goes to Sunday church,
Mm-hmm.
and I have ate food over there, ate a plate over there, but it's like something she cooked that night, and maybe the next day I go over there, and she might make me a plate of chicken or something, and I might eat it. And I was telling her that just because they prayed over it, I guess I pray over my plate no matter where it comes from. You know, I pray over it right then and there.
Uh-huh.
So she was just saying that they probably prayed over their Thanksgiving food, and that's why she didn't want him to have it. I told her it wasn't on Thanksgiving or nothing, and it was just turkey and rice.
Right, yeah.
So we had this big thing yesterday. I said, well, that's the same thing if we go to a friend's house that don't believe in the word, and they pray over the food, and we eat their food, is the same exact thing.
Right. No, you're not partaking because the God don't exist. There's only one true and living God. That God they praying to don't exist. The kingdom of heaven ain't meat and drink. The problem is you over there with them while they praying over that food. That's the problem. You sitting there with them. Cause even if you was there, like for instance, that God don't exist, right? You know that. So you got that freedom to go if you want to, right? However, it's for their sake that you don't want to be there. For their conscience, not your conscience. You see what I'm saying? Because that can become a stumbling block to them, you know. And now I would have been more mindful if it was them trying to give me the food. Or you the food. You know what I'm saying? You done sit down and talk to them about the word or something? Yeah.
They know what we do. They know we don't eat no pork or nothing.
Right.
So they respect that.
Right.
They make sure they don't give him no pork or nothing.
Right. So in a case like that, in those type of situations, I'll be mindful because them same people, man, can throw that stuff in your face. Don't look at him like that, please, Sister Claudette. I ain't on your side. I ain't on none of y'all side. No. But both of y'all got a point. But at the same time, like if y'all don't talk to them about the word, just remember now, you know, you're gonna have to explain that away if they bring that up. Well, wait a minute. He can't have none of this. What? You let him have some of our Thanksgiving food. You see what I'm saying? So you're gonna have to explain that, you know. So I'll be mindful about those. Now, if you ain't talking about the word or nothing like that, hey, it don't matter, right? It ain't gonna be a stumbling block. But when you don't talk about the word, you know, that can be an issue sometimes. But it may not be a big deal. It may not be an issue. You know, it may not be an issue with them. You know, I mean, they could have just been honestly trying to give them something to eat. You know, I think you took a stance in not being there on Thanksgiving period. You know what I'm saying? They know that. But just be careful, man, because people be trying to look for any opportunity to get in and stab you. That's what you got to be mindful of, you know. But we're going to read 1 Corinthians 10 after this. You found it, sister?
Yeah, Ezekiel 5:1.
Is that David? No, ain't David. Oh yeah. Lord using Ezekiel to give an example of what He gonna do to Israel. Yeah, not nothing across the board for everybody though. Yeah. Right. Well, no, this right here was the Lord was actually showing what He was about to do to Israel. You see what I'm saying? Like he finna, like, in other words, I'm finna wipe them out the same way. But he was doing that with Ezekiel. Like he told him to eat cow dung. You know what I'm saying? And he's like, because he told him he dung out a man first. And Ezekiel's like, no, Lord. You know, in other words, I ain't ate nothing unclean. It never came into me. And the Lord told me some cow dung, and he was trying to show him an example of when Israel going to captivity. Hey, they're going to eat the defiled bread of the Gentiles just like that. You see what I'm saying? So the Lord would use like different analogies or parable examples like that. And that's what he's using with Ezekiel right here. You know what I'm saying? Not the nation as a whole. No, Ezekiel? Yeah. I mean, the Lord told him to. But that was for him, though, not all of us. You see what I'm saying? That's like a prophet he was dealing with. That's just like I say with the dung thing. He wasn't telling all of us eat dung. You know what I'm saying? He was telling him to do that. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's a good scripture though. But let's read. But Dave left out. He went out, didn't he? Okay. Go ahead.
Well, just to get back to what Sister Claudette has said, I went through the same situation when I went to my family house yesterday, and I bought them their own food. I just look at it as, you know, the food was sacrificed to idols. And then when you deal with people that's not in this truth, when they cook, they don't care about if the pork juice drop in the rice. They don't care if the ham is touching this and that. Right. So I just feel like it's a spiritual thing. You know, with these whole holidays, everybody get into like a whole trance and that spirit come upon everyone. Mm-hmm. So it's like if you prayed over your food, I don't really care to eat it because the Most High, he did say he hate their feast days. Like I despise them.
No,
so
he was talking about ours.
Yeah,
no,
but
he was talking about our feast days. Amos 5, I think around verse 25. When he said, I despise your feast day, your new moons, I would know I cannot away with. He was talking about us.
Yeah, but I also feel like he of course he hates the idolism and everything that comes with the heathen, whatever it is that they doing.
Right.
So it's like if you go to somebody's house, they got that plate of food, you got to think like, I'm not gonna eat that because y'all already done prayed over it, and I don't trust what you cooked and what's behind it. So somebody really got offended, you know. And I was just like, listen, I know what's behind it, and you don't have to be all up on your family like, don't do this, don't do that. You pray for them, but I said I'm not gonna do it. My kid's not gonna be a part of it.
Right.
You know, we're not gonna celebrate or eat anything that's over there.
Right.
And it's like I've been through that, so it's just like we all just have to pray and, you know, repent from things that we do because we may not know it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That makes a lot of sense, and I definitely agree with that. But at the same time, you still gotta see if it's a sin though. You know what I'm saying? And that's the problem. Like I see you, sis. You know, I can go around throwing all type of feelings out there, but if it ain't a sin, I can't say it's a sin. Now, Amos 5:21, first off, and we're going to look at this 1 Corinthians 10. We're going to come back to you, Sister Nick. Amos 5:21, read that for me right quick. Amos 5, verse 21.
Not the 1 Corinthians.
Oh, we're going to come back to 1 Corinthians. I just want to read this right quick. Because I know when I used to hit the streets, this is one scripture I used to use to try to debunk Christmas, try to debunk Easter and stuff like that. And I was heavy out there in the streets, and this one of them I used to use. But once I got understanding, I just got to make sure everybody understands Amos 5:21. The Lord is actually talking about his feast days and what we do. So Amos 5:21, it says what? I'll read it. I despise your feast days, and I would not smell in your solemn assemblies. Talking to Israel. He said, though ye offer me burnt offerings and your meat offerings, I would not accept them. Neither will I regard the peace offerings of your fat beasts. Because that's what we did. We offered up sacrifice to the Lord. However, though, our heart wasn't right. We still out here sinning and carrying on. The Lord was like, look, you need to get that figured out first. So in verse 23, he said, take thou away from me the noise of thy songs, for I will not hear the melody of thy vows, but let judgment run down its waters, and righteousness as a mighty stream. Have ye offered unto me sacrifices and offerings in the wilderness 40 years, O house of Israel? So who he talking to? He talking to Israel. He ain't talking to the Gentiles and what they do. He talking to Israel. You see? He said, but you have borne or carried the tabernacle of your Moloch and Shaun, your images, the star of your God, which ye made of yourselves. Therefore, I will cause you to go into captivity beyond Damascus, said the Lord. So he was talking to Israel and what we was doing. So In addition to that, though, hey, the Lord still don't like this stuff out here. But I just want to clear that scripture up. But, you know, when you go off into, you know, you start dealing with them people stuff, man, they do be doing it. I mean, you know, my father one day, he made some steak one night. You know, I went to visit him, and he made some steak. He gonna make some okra, and he gonna put some bacon in the okra. So I come, no, he didn't put bacon, no, he made some okra, and he had made something else. It had some bacon in it. I can't remember what it was. It might have been rice, and the okra, I think, had bacon in it. So I go in the kitchen. We just down there visiting before we head out for a cruise a few years back. I go into the kitchen to grab some steak, and I see him. I said, Dad, can I get that rice right quick first before you take that spoon and put it in there? He's like, no, I gotta make my wife her food first. I say, Dad, come on now, you got bacon inside the okra. He said, well, you ain't said that last night. You ate them string meat last night. I said, no, we didn't. I said, I told my whole family, do not touch that food in there. But he tried to be slick, tried to set me up, man. But so back to what you're saying, they don't care. They'll put pork all in your juice and everything. They don't care, you know. But what if somebody invites you over to their house for dinner? You know, like for instance, you know, it's like I was saying earlier, it's kind of, it's a thin line, right? As far as like you going to somebody invites you over to dinner, you know, like for instance, around this time of year, people like to call them winter parties and stuff like that because they don't want to call it Christmas holiday stuff. So they'll call it winter stuff. Would you be wrong for going to that? Huh? How you gonna be wrong though? I'm just saying. Did they mention a God? If they say we having a winter dinner, is it wrong? Huh? 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 Uh-huh. Oh, yeah. All right, so let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 8 right quick. Then we go to 1 Corinthians 8. We're going to hit 1 Corinthians 8 and 1 Corinthians chapter 10. I'm going to show y'all something. I'm going to show y'all something right quick. We're going to hit 1 Corinthians chapter 8. We're going to read 1 Corinthians chapter 10. We're going to start at verse 1. See, I wouldn't advise you go to these, but at the same time, like you still got to be able to call it a sin, though. And the sin is when, you know, we're going to read it. 1 Corinthians chapter 8. And pick this up at verse 1. Go and read that for me.
Now as touching things offered unto idols.
Okay, so now, as touching things offered unto idols, right? That's what we're talking about today, right? As touching things offered unto idols. What does it say, brother? Go ahead.
We know that we all have knowledge.
Now, we all know that we have knowledge. Keep reading.
Knowledge puffeth up.
Uh-huh.
But charity edifieth.
Right, so when it's all said and done, you may have some knowledge and you may know what you can do or what you can't do, but what matters at the end of the day, charity is what matters. Because sometimes your knowledge can be a stumbling block to other people. So it's the love that you need to be concerned about. Go on and read what he say.
And if any man think that he knoweth anything, he knoweth nothing.
Keep reading.
As he ought to know.
Mm-hmm.
But if any man love God, the same is known of him.
Verse 4.
As concerning thereof, therefore, the eating of those things that are offered in sacrifices unto idols, we know that an idol is nothing in the world, and there is none other but God but one. For those,
you see that, right? But he says, concerning therefore the eating of those things that are offered and sacrificed unto idols, right? We know that an idol is nothing in the world. We know that, right? We know these idols don't exist. You know, that's just something they made up in their mind, right? And he said, and we are, in addition to us knowing that the idol is nothing, also that there's none other God but one, right? Verse 5.
For though there be that are called gods.
For though there be that are called gods, what?
Whether in heaven or in earth. As there be gods many and lords many.
Right, so all over the world. You got gods all over the place, right? But we know unto us is only one Lord, right? Go on and read. What else?
But to us there is but one God, the Father, of whom are all things, and we in him, and one Lord, Jesus Christ, by whom are all things, and we by him. Howbeit, there is not in every man the knowledge.
Right, so now this is why you won't show up to that. Like, this why you ain't gonna go. Because everybody ain't got this knowledge that we have. You understand? Like, I know at a Christmas party, look, man, this stuff don't mean nothing. Like, it's fake. I can come in here, dance it up, eat all y'all stuff. I ain't gonna eat no pork. But I'm just saying, I can come eat all this stuff. It's not real. It's fake. We know that, right? However, just because you got the knowledge, that don't mean that it's always good to exercise your knowledge, right? Because in the next verse, what he saying, verse 7?
For some with conscience.
Verse 7.
Howbeit, there is not in every man that knowledge.
Right, so the beginning, I'm sorry, back into verse 7. Howbeit, there is not in every man that knowledge, right?
For some.
Right, so everybody ain't got that knowledge, right? Go ahead and read, what else?
For some with conscience of idol unto this hour eat it as a thing offered unto an idol.
Right, so for some with the conscience of an idol, hey, until this hour eat it as a thing offered unto an idol. And to them, that's what they think of it as something that's offered to an idol, right? But even though you know it's not real, what about the person that is really looking at this as if it's a god, right? Go ahead and read.
And their conscience being weak is defiled.
Right, but their conscience being weak is defiled. But you never gonna find out that it's a problem you being there. Remember, the issue is that you're gonna mess around and cause them to fall because you don't need to be there. Not saying that it's a sin for you to be there. The sin is gonna come in when you cause that man to fall. That's where the problem gonna come in. Go ahead and read, what else?
But meat commendeth us not to God. For neither if we eat are we the better, neither if we eat not are we the worse.
But you see that, right? It say what? But meat don't commend us not to God. Look, for neither if we eat are we the better, neither if we eat are we the worse. It don't matter. Go ahead and read. What else you say?
But take heed, lest by any means this liberty of yours become a stumbling block to them that are weak.
Right. See, that's the problem right there. That's why you don't want to show up. That's why you don't want to be taking part in that stuff that they cook. Even if they cook some clean stuff, they cook all clean stuff, you know, they say, look, come on over to the house. We ain't going to cook no pork. It's going to be none but everything good. Matter of fact, you give us the ingredients. But the point is, look, even though you know it's cool, there ain't no problem, I'm telling you, the stumbling block is you being there. Because they're going to look at you like you're supposed to be different. Well, you said you don't do this, you don't do that. And you can say, well, hey, I got the right to do that. I can come through, it ain't going to hurt nothing. But when it comes time to sit down and talk to them about the word, the last thing that's in their mind is, you was over here on Thanksgiving. You see what I'm saying? And you ain't going to be able to, you won't be able to tell them nothing. Go ahead and read. What else you got?
For if any man see thee, which has knowledge, sit at meat in the idol's temple.
Now pay attention to what he say. He said, for if any man see thee, which has knowledge, sit at meat in the idol's temple. What?
Shall not the conscience of him which is weak be emboldened to eat those things which are offered to idols?
Right. So look, now you supposed to be deterring him from doing that in the first place, right? But he see you there, that's going to encourage him to keep doing it, right? You see? But the problem ain't you eating it. The problem is you causing that person to fall. You see? That's why when you go off in Walmart and stuff like that, Halloween, they got these old pumpkin cookies and all that. People like, can I eat those? Man, ain't nothing wrong with you eating the cookies, man, as long as they clean. You know, but I wouldn't be in the store with my mama like, Mom, I'm finna go grab these Halloween cookies right quick. I'm not gonna do it. Because I already know it's gonna be a problem. You see what I'm saying? Like, she looking at me, why you eating that? And I know it's just a doggone cookie. But in her head, they made these cookies for Halloween. Why you grabbing that? You see what I'm saying? That's where the problem comes in at. Go ahead and read. What else?
And through thy knowledge shall the weak brother perish.
Right. So, and through your knowledge, are you going to cause this weak brother to perish? Keep reading. What did he say?
For whom Christ died.
See, Christ died for him also. So don't cause him to perish. That's what we're saying. Like, even though you have the knowledge and understanding, you know that God don't exist and stuff like that, you still shouldn't do it if you know that brother is not strong enough to take that. His conscience ain't there. Don't do it. Go ahead and read. What else?
But when ye sin, so against the brethren.
So when you sin, so against the brethren, right? See, now you done got off in the sin. Now you are sinning. You see? When you sin so against the brethren or you cause him to fall, what he say?
And wound their weak
and
conscience.
You mess up his weak conscience. What it say?
Ye sin against Christ.
Oh, now you're in trouble. See, you going to the ball just by itself. You know, just say for instance you go somewhere, a Christmas party with a bunch of people you don't know. You ain't never mentioned God to them at all. You just go in there, I'm finna go ahead and give me something to drink. You know what I'm saying? I'm just gonna have a good time and party. Man, they ain't got nothing to do with this. You ain't up there trying to introduce this to them. But just think about it later on down the line, you try to introduce it. They gonna be like, wait a minute. Didn't you say something about this? Like, so that's what we talking about. It's about the mind of the next person. It ain't about you because we know all this stuff don't exist anyway. It's all garbage. Go on and read what else?
Wherefore, if meat make my brother to offend.
Right, so what he say? So if this is gonna make my brother offended, right? What he say?
I will eat no flesh.
I ain't gonna eat no flesh. Go ahead.
While the world standeth. Lest I make my brother to offend.
Right, so it's all about not causing offense to your brother, right? Not about you going there. Ain't like you did nothing wrong because you're there as far as eating the food and stuff like that. You know you ain't got, like Paul don't even have to address what type of food we talking about, right? Because he writing to the church. That's just like when I talk to y'all know, automatically you already know Leviticus 11 is in the picture. We ain't got to bring that up. But overall, when you go, if you go there and you're going to cause a stumbling block, don't even go. Plus, hey, we don't need to be a part of that anyway. 1 Corinthians chapter 10, what it said in verse 1. We're going to look at something else. 1 Corinthians chapter 10, we're going to pick this up at around verse, start at verse 19. 19, go and read that for me.
What say I then? That the idol is anything, or that which is offered is sacrificed to idols is anything? But I say that the things which the Gentiles sacrifice, they sacrifice to devils, and not to God.
Go ahead.
And I would not that ye should have fellowship with devils. You cannot drink
right,
the cup.
So that go back to what the sister was saying, right? It don't make sense. Like, they ain't no telling what they doing with that, right? So it just don't make sense for us to be fellowshipping with them, you know, and then on top of that, we trying to serve God. So, hey, let's just stay away from it. However, look, if you did, okay, you know it don't exist, but look, let's just be safe. Go on and read. What did he say?
You cannot drink the cup of the Lord and the cup of devils.
Keep reading.
You cannot be partakers of the Lord's table and the table of the devils.
Go ahead.
Do we provoke the Lord to jealousy? Are we stronger than he?
Go ahead.
All things are lawful for me, but all things are not expedient.
But you see that, right? He said, all things are lawful for me, right? But all things are not expedient. Like, it don't make sense to do everything, all things that are lawful, right? You know, I mean, you got to be a wise judge of that. Even though it's lawful, it ain't expedient. It don't always benefit you to do it. Go ahead and read. What else?
All things are lawful for me, but all things edify not.
Keep reading.
Let no man seek his own.
Right, because it's not about us, right? Like, you know, like I told you, you know what you got freedom to do. You know, you up in there, Christmas party, you know, like, it don't matter. I can do this. To God, y'all idol is dumb and stupid. It don't exist. So I'm just going to hang out. And they looking at you like, but you said all this, man. You talked to us about this. You said Christmas was this, but you still here partying with us. So he said, look, all things are lawful for me, but all things edify not, because it's about edifying somebody else. It's about bringing people in, right? What he say in 24?
Let no man seek his own, but every man another's wealth.
Right, because you concerned about other people, right? I mean, I know we're concerned about ourselves. And listen, you know, dealing with the world, they wicked anyway, as far as what they doing on these days. But, you know, the agenda or the mindset behind you not partaking in that, because you don't want to cause them to fall. Because they listening to what you say. They looking at how you run your household. You know, so it'd be better for you to just separate, because I'm telling you, they're going to throw that in your face. Let no man seek his own, but every man another's wealth. What it say?
Whatsoever is sold in the shambles, that eat, asking no question for conscience sake.
He say, whatsoever is sold in the shambles, talking about the meat market, eat, asking no question for conscience sake. But like I said, we ain't got to go over what's unclean and clean, right? Because that's not what this is about. We stand in context. It's going to be back to serving idol gods, right? Go ahead and read. What do you say?
For the earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof. If any of them that believe not bid you to feast.
Okay, now pay attention, right? Because this is more like what we're dealing with now. He said, if any of them that believe not, right, bid you to a feast, what?
And ye be disposed to go, whatsoever is set before you, eat, asking no questions for conscience sake.
Right, so now we're going to see what the difference is. Somebody invite you to a feast. Your mama actually come to a feast. Father, mother wants y'all to come over to a feast. Ain't nothing wrong with going, right? The problem going to be is, like Thanksgiving, what God you thinking? You ain't thinking the God of this Bible, are you? See, they done stamped God on top of it now. But it wouldn't be wrong for you to even go. The problem is now you're going to it's gonna be a problem in their mind, their conscience. You understand? That's what you don't want to wound their conscience. Go ahead and read what it say.
But if any man say unto you, this is offered in sacrifice unto idols.
Right. So hey, and they don't got to say that with Thanksgiving. You already know they offering that to idol, right? Because it's called Thanksgiving. What they thinking? They thinking of God, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob? Right. So you know that's an idol right out the gate. I would not go. But if any man say unto you, this is offered in sacrifice to idols, what?
Eat not for his sake.
Eat not for his sake. That what?
That shows.
Keep reading.
And for conscience sake.
And for conscience sake, keep reading.
For the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof.
Right. Look, so you ain't gonna eat for his sake. And for conscience sake, for the earth is the Lord and the fullness thereof. We know that, right? All this belong to God. Not y'all fake dumb idol you serving. What he saying 29?
Conscience, I say, not thine own.
Right, not your own conscience. He said, conscience, I say, not thy own. Not your conscience you got to worry about. But whose conscience?
But of the other.
But of the other, for what?
For why is my liberty judged of another man's conscience?
Oh, you see that? He say, look, it ain't your conscience you got to worry about. You got to worry about their conscience. He say, why is my liberty or my freedom to do this judged of another man's conscience? The whole time you sitting there eating, they looking at you like, this nigga a hypocrite. Like, what the hell? I thought you said you couldn't do it. I thought you said you know what I'm saying? Like, and bruh, you would not be able to explain away why you there. Oh man, you know, God don't care. I can come, but you said this. You said y'all was this and that. Why you here? So he said, look, conscience I say, not thy own, but of the other for what?
For why is my liberty judged of another man's conscience?
So hey, you think you there to enjoy yourself, and somebody else looking at you, they can't get no peace in their mind because they looking at you like, man, I thought this brother here was legit. Go ahead and read what else.
For if I by grace be a partaker, why am I evil spoken?
Say, hey, you got that freedom to do it. He say, for if I by grace be a partaker, why am I evil spoken of for that for which I give thanks? You just thanking God for it, but to you, they looking at you like, man, you crooked, you a hypocrite. Go ahead and read what else.
Whether therefore ye eat or drink, or whatsoever ye do all to the glory of God.
That's right. Keep reading.
Give none offense, neither to the Jews.
Oh, you see that? But you want to do it to the glory of God. So he's telling you what? Give none offense, neither to the Jews, nor to the Gentiles, what?
Nor to the church of God.
Go ahead.
Even as I please all men in all things, not seeking mine own profit.
Right, because when it's all said and done, we're not trying to do it for our profit, right? Even though you got that freedom, look, you're trying to do something that's going to benefit them, right? Because remember now, we saw in 1 Corinthians 9, look, hey, Christ died for him too. Now you done sin against him, and when you sin against your brother, you sin against who? You sin against Christ. That's what it said, right? So he said, even as I please all men in all things, not seeking my own profit, but the profit of many that what?
That they may be saved.
And that's the goal. That's what we're looking for. We're trying to get them saved. So that's why you wouldn't partake in that. But any other question? You understand that, Brother Anthony? Huh? You understand that, Brother Anthony? Yeah. All right, cool. Go ahead.
I think this is a quick question, but in Hebrews, so
tell Jordan also.
Paul, was Paul the author of Hebrews? No one knows, right?
Yeah, we can't. We don't really.
All right, but they speculate that he is the author.
They speculate. Yeah.
Do you know why? Like, are there like writings in Hebrews that's like?
I mean, that's solid. They just say.
I mean, is it like the same flow? Like, is anything in there specifically that you would say, yeah, it sounds like Paul wrote that?
To me, honestly, to me, it sounds like Peter.
Sounds like Peter to you?
Yeah. Peter talk about the strangers, being strangers and stuff like that, looking for, waiting for a land and stuff like that, where they were strangers and pilgrims on the earth. You know what I'm saying? Then First Peter talk about the strangers and stuff like that. But
strangers, he's talking about Israel, right?
Yeah.
So there are passages for sure in the Bible that when you talk about strangers, you are talking about Israel.
Yeah, when he write a letter, say to the stranger scattered abroad.
Right. Well, I've heard teachers have told me there's nowhere in the scriptures where you say strangers that is talking to Israel. So let me ask you this: in Romans 13, who's Paul talking to when he's talking?
Peter's talking to us in Romans. I mean, in Peter. But Romans, what now?
What did you just say?
And Peter talking to strangers scattered abroad.
Right, but I'm talking in Romans.
No, I'm just saying that before we move. Like like somebody said he ain't talking. Yeah, I think that goes back to trying to save face. You know what I'm saying? Like, for instance, because there was a brother that came out and was like, the strangers that they was talking about. Because there's a brother preaching that Israel is the strangers.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
And so you may have some people that try to do damage control and be like, oh, Israel never strangers. But Peter, he was writing to us.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I think James was too.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Romans what now?
So Romans 13, like around, I'm sorry, Romans 11, around verse 17. Who's he talking to? So is it a thing where he's talking back and forth? He's talking to Israelites, and then he's talking to Gentiles?
Romans 11, I think it seemed like he's talking to all Western. He's talking to all Gentiles right there.
He's talking to?
Romans 11 to 17, he said, if some of the branches be broken off, he writes to this is to the Gentiles. Now, when he first started off, like it was kind of, he was addressing both of them. You know what I'm saying? That's why he said, how you going to tell them not to do this, but you're doing it yourself? You know what I'm saying? Like you telling them, I think Romans 2, if I'm mistaken. He was kind of snapping on Israel. You supposed to be teachers of the law, but you ain't living by the law. You know what I'm saying? He was kind of going off, I think, Romans 2, if I'm mistaken. But right here, Romans 11, he's talking to the Gentiles.
How is he talking to the Gentiles? Because it's like, so when he says, and if in 17, and if some of the branches be broken off, and you and thou, being a wild olive tree, were grafted in among them, and with them partakers of the root and fatness of the olive tree. It's like in Jeremiah, he calls the olive tree Israel. So how can, like, I'm confused. Can you give some clarity?
I sure can. Let's go to verse 11. Verse 11. Romans 11:11. All right, go ahead.
I say then, have they stumbled that they should fall?
Talking about Israel, right? The question is, have they stumbled that they should fall, right? Right?
Romans 11.
Romans 11, verse 11. It said, I say then, have they stumbled that they should fall? Talking about Israel, right? What did it say?
God forbid.
Right, go ahead.
But rather through their fall, salvation is come unto the Gentiles.
Okay, so through their fall, through the fall of Israel, that opens up the avenue for salvation for everybody, right? He said through their fall, salvation is come unto the Gentiles, right? Go ahead.
For to provoke them to jealousy.
Keep reading.
Now if the fall of them be riches of the world, and diminishing of them the riches of the Gentiles, how much more their fullness?
Keep reading, because Israel fell. Now you see the Gentiles up now. Go ahead, what else?
For I speak to you, Gentiles, inasmuch as I am apostle of the Gentiles, I magnify mine office.
Go ahead, keep reading.
If by any means I may provoke to emulation them which are my flesh.
Right, so look. He say, I'm the apostle of the Gentiles, right? I magnify mine office. If by any means I may provoke to emulation them which are my flesh, right? Who's Paul's flesh? Israel, right? And might save some of them. Go ahead and read. What do you say? Verse 15.
For if the casting away of them be the reconciling of the world.
Right, so if the casting away of Israel be the I'm going to wait till y'all finish talking. Because I got a feeling this coming in from somewhere else. But he say for the casting of them be what?
The reconciling.
Right. So if the casting away Israel, in other words, by Israel being cast away, God got to take them back, right? But by him taking Israel back, it's also going to open the door for other people to come in, right? That's why he say, for if the casting away of them be the reconciling of the world, what does it say?
What shall the receiving of them be? The life from the dead.
Right, so who else is dead besides Israel? Like the Gentiles ain't dead. Like Israel is dead. That's matter of fact, Ezekiel 37, they consider what? Bones. The valley of the dry bones, right? Ain't nobody else considered that. Go ahead and read. What else? Verse 16.
For if the first fruit be holy,
Right. So if the first fruit be holy, what else?
the lump is also holy.
Keep reading.
And if the root be holy, so are the branches.
Right. So who would be the root though? Jesus is the root, right? So if we are offspring of that, being his church, right, it's automatic we holy, right? As a matter of fact, he said in Deuteronomy chapter 7, what? For thou art holy people, right? The Lord that God have chosen you above all people upon the face of the earth, right? He ain't say that to the Gentile. He said that to Israel. Go ahead and read. What else he say?
And if some of the branches be broken off.
Wait a minute though. He said, for if the first fruit be holy, the lump is also holy. And if the root be holy, talking about Jesus, so are the branches. The branches are going to come up out of the root, sisters and brothers. We talking about a root. What comes from a root? In this case, we talking about a tree. Okay? So everything that comes out of that root is going to be holy, right? Then it says, and if some of the branches what? The branches of the tree that we just read about in the previous verse happens to be broken off, then what he say?
And
you talking about the Gentiles who he's writing to, and you and thou being what?
A wild olive tree.
I ain't talking about Israel, because they holy. They part of the root. I mean, they part of the branches that come out of the root. He just switched gears on them. And if some of the branches be broken off, and thou, talking about the Gentiles, and you being a wild olive tree, in other words, you ain't got nothing to do with this tree that's holy. You a wild olive tree. You don't even know our God. Go on and read. What else he say?
Will graft in among them.
And you were grafted in among them. Keep reading.
And with them, partakers of the root.
And with them, you are partakers of the root. Talking about with them, you are partakers of Jesus now. Go on and read.
And fatness of the olive tree.
Keep reading.
Boast not against the branches.
So he's telling them, look, you from the wild olive tree. You were grafted in. So don't boast against the branches, because naturally they are a part of this tree. Boast not against the branches. What else?
But if thou boast, thou bearest not the root.
But if you boast, look, you don't bear the root. Like you don't come from the root. Like you were actually sown in. You know, and eventually you might catch on and start growing. I think I heard somebody say you can cut off, back in the day you can cut out. Matter of fact, somebody showed it online or something, where they would split the tree and split a branch and then like tie it together and it would grow together. But look, even if you do that, you still ain't a part of the root though. Israel is a part of the root. And that's what he's telling them. He said, boast not against the branches, but if thou boast, thou bear not the root. Keep reading.
Thou bearest not the root. Thou wilt say.
But the root be. The root is what's holding you up. You ain't, Lord can knock you off. You ain't a part of the tree naturally. But the root be. Keep reading. So don't get puffed up. That's the point. That's what he's letting the Gentiles know. Go ahead and read. What else?
Thou wilt say then, the branches were broken off, that I might be grafted in.
Right. So look, now this is what the Gentile is saying. Our own brother's not saying. That's the dumbest stuff I ever heard in my life. See, what happens is Negroes start trying to get smarter than what they think they are. They can't just be satisfied with what you're saying about, but not y'all. The one that started this mess in the first place. But it's so easy, it's ridiculous. He said, look, thou would say then the branches were broken off. Like, why would I say that to y'all if I got grafted in? Why am I going to say, Dave, you was broken off so I can come in? That don't make sense. All you got to do is look around the world today who are saying that without saying that. Who done took over the priesthood in the world's eyes? And everybody think that they are the ones. But this is what Paul was telling them, don't do. We're not doing that against our own self. That don't make sense. He said, you going to say the branches were broken off that I might be grafted in. And look around the world today. Ain't everybody saying that? They say it's not a Christian church. The Lord changed hands once he came on the day of Pentecost. He gave it over to the Jews now. Oh, you ain't got to worry about that no more. You ain't got to worry about the Jews no more. Now it's the Christian church. And then who you got running the Christian church? White people, sisters and brothers. Let's not play. Like this is what Paul was telling them. Don't do that. And that's exactly what they did. He said, thou would say then the branches are broken off that I might be grafted in. What else he say?
Well, because of unbelief, they were broken off.
Right. So he said, well, because of unbelief, they were broken off. Not because of, that the Lord just wanted to bring you in and kick them out of the way. No, because of unbelief. Go ahead and read.
And thou standest by faith.
And you stand by faith. Keep reading.
Be not high-minded, but fear. For if God spared not the natural branches.
Right, so he say, look, don't get puffed up now. But notice what he say. He say, look, if God spared not the natural branches, so you mean to tell me 3 of the tribes were natural and the other 9 wasn't natural? Like, where they do that at? Please explain that to me.
Well, when I read Jeremiah 11:16.
No, before we go there, we gotta finish this though. Because what happened is, like, if you read this in context, it's simple.
It's not really.
No, as we go through it, it's super.
Maybe it's simple for you.
It ain't.
There's a lot of people who is like really confused.
But what I'm saying is, as we're reading through this, like it is right here, it's a letter. It's simple.
Right.
It's just it's a letter. Like it's a letter. Like you can read this letter without even going to, because it's a letter. You understand what I'm saying? Like if I write you a letter, the letter gonna make sense all the way through. And this is a letter. All we're doing is he's just going through the letter. It makes sense all the way through until somebody come in and throw some other stuff in there. That's when confusion gonna set in. But it's a letter. That's how you got to read the letter like a letter, sister. But that's what the old boy did. You know, I forgot his name, Reggie. Come with that nonsense. But he say, look, well, because of unbelief, then, and just so you know, he playing y'all in Jeremiah too. He played some, if y'all seen the video, he played y'all in Jeremiah. He was talking about something about them being Hamites and stuff like that. Man, I can't remember. He read like 3 verses. He didn't keep going down around Jeremiah 27, how it was showing it was the Gentiles, you know, actual being another nation. But he played with it. Yeah, he played with it, but you got to go all the way back. Like, you got to go to Jeremiah 27, where it tell you the lion going to come up from his sticking and stuff like that. Nebuchadnezzar is on his way. But he tried to make it seem like those were Hamites. How's a Hamite when it's saying, Jeremiah, that it's Nebuchadnezzar coming? Nebuchadnezzar is the beginning of the Gentile dynasty. Oh, yeah, I did. He hustling y'all. He trying to play you. I'm just talking about mankind, the whole Israelite community. I'm telling you, he playing games. But go on and read, what does he say? He said, well, because of unbelief, 21, for the God spared not the natural branches, take heed lest he also spare not thee, right? Go on and read, what else?
Behold, therefore, the goodness of severity of God.
So pay attention. He said, therefore, behold, therefore, the goodness and severity of God. In other words, God was good when he allowed other nations to come in and get the word, but also pay attention to his severity too, because he told Israel up, didn't he? That's why I say, behold, therefore, the goodness and severity of God on what?
On them which fell, severity.
On them which fell, severity. That's what fell on us, right? We had severe consequences that happened to us because we sinned against God, right? Then what he say, brother?
But toward thee, goodness.
But toward thee, goodness. Keep reading.
If thou continue in his goodness.
What's going to happen?
Otherwise, thou also shall be cut off.
Right. What he talking about? Another nation of people. They ain't talking to it. That don't make sense for that to be. How you going to split Israel up and then call them the Gentiles and say this Gentile? That don't make sense, sisters and brothers. Yeah, but this ain't split right here. He's talking to the Gentiles and he's comparing them to Israel as a whole. He's not, like, you ain't splitting them and saying this is like 3 tribes and nine tribes of the north and 3 tribes of the south. He's talking to a whole different nation of people. Go ahead and read. What does it say, brother?
And they also, if they abide not still in unbelief, shall be grafted in, for God is able to graft them in again. For if thou wert cut out of the olive tree, which is wild by nature, and were grafted contrary to nature into a good olive tree, how much more shall these which be natural branches be grafted into their own olive tree?
So when was Israel never a part of the natural branches, the root? Like when were we not a part of this? Like he said, you are a holy nation. He didn't say 3 of y'all tribes are holy nation, the other 9 wicked. Like when it first jumped off, we first came out, he dealing with Israel as a whole. He gave this to all of us. And then you had the kingdom split. You know what I'm saying? Once after Solomon, Rehoboam took some, and I think Jeroboam took the other 3, the southern tribe. But I mean, no, Rehoboam took the southern tribe. Jeroboam took the other 9. But at the same time, we still was considered a holy kingdom. I mean, a holy nation, the priest of God.
So what were the consequences of I divorced you. You are no longer my people. Like in Hosea, when he told Gomer to get the wife was prostitute. He likened his children as the children of Jordan. That was likened to the northern kingdom. So,
right. And that took place. That's like when he was trying to give the second part.
it was like no consequences of that.
I mean,
having to come back together, like the couple. Like
what?
I guess what I'm saying is,
I mean, because there were consequences all over the place. The Lord tried to have mercy on the 3 tribes. He was telling you, matter of fact, your sister is an example. Oh, no, I'm not. Oh, no. It ain't you. I'm jealous of you, godly jealous. Believe me. It's the dude I want to be, not you. And I mean that literally. You know, but just like with the 9 tribes, you know, they messed up, and then hey, you had the Lord liking Israel like your sister messed up, and you doing worse than she doing. Essentially, what ended up happening, he kicked all us out. But the point is that we started off as a whole, as a holy nation of people. It ain't like he talking to us right here, talking about the natural. Right. But that ain't got nothing to do with this right here. It's as far as like trying to split us up, like trying to make this seem like this is Israel. He talking to Israel one part and talking to Israel another part. No, he's talking about Israel being a part of the natural branches, and he's talking about the Gentiles not being a part of the natural branches. You can't split this up like that and try to make this seem like the Lord is like, when was Israel never a part of the natural tree? Like when? What? Say that again. He say what? That's us. The branches being broken off. That's Israel. Right. Right. So that's us as a whole. And then who's being grafted in is the Gentiles. But why would Israel ever have to be grafted in back into what they were naturally? You get what I'm saying? What? 24, for if thou were cut out of the olive tree, which is wild by nature, right? And were grafted contrary into a good olive tree, right? So he's talking to the Gentiles right here, right? Right, going back and forth. But he's going back and forth between 2 different nations. He's not going back and forth between Israel and Israel. You get what I'm saying? He's going back and forth between 2 different nations. Naturally, we're a part of the tree. Like, we don't have any brothers out here that are not a part of it. If you Israel, you catching hell all over the place. You know why? Because you're a holy people. You're supposed to represent God. But you're naturally a part of that. Then you got these Gentiles who gonna get salvation. They get grafted in. They were not naturally a part of this. So he said, for if thou were cut out of the olive tree, which is wild by nature, right? We're talking about a totally separate tree. Has nothing to do with this tree. It was wild by nature, and you were grafted contrary to nature into a good olive tree. Like, in other words, the Gentiles, they come from a wild tree. You getting drafted into our tree, which is a good tree. Right, that goes against nature. That ain't usually done. That's not natural. You were grafted contrary to nature into a good olive tree. How much more shall these which be the natural branches? Who are the natural branches? Israel is the natural branches, not the Gentiles. And we ain't got 9 tribes split up that they got. That don't make no sense. But he say, how much more shall these which be the natural branches be grafted into their own olive tree? Then what does it say? Verse 25.
For I would not, brethren, that ye should be ignorant of this mystery, lest ye should be wise in your own conceits, that blindness in part is happened to Israel until the fullness of the Gentiles be come in.
Right, so back to the Gentiles. Wait a minute. Wait. He said blindness is happening in part to how long? Until the fullness of the Gentiles be come in, right? Let's go to Genesis chapter 15 right quick. Because what he say right there? Who he say them Gentiles is right there? Huh? No, who them Gentiles that fullness got to come in right there? Is that Israel fullness? Whose fullness is that? I need to know. Whose fullness is that right there?
The Gentiles.
Huh? No, is that what he say? Is he say that's Israel fullness?
No.
Whose fullness is that right there? Right, but what does this guy say? Yo, stupido. What does he say? He said that's Israel, right? All right, now let's go to Genesis chapter 15 right quick. Like, because the Lord going to come back. He going to tear the world down just like he did with Egypt when the fullness of the Amorites came in. They was ruling the world at that time, right? Now, guess what? Guess who's ruling the world now? The Gentiles are ruling. Genesis chapter 15. Pick this up at verse, start at 15, bro. Genesis 15 and 15. Read that, please.
And thou shalt go to thy fathers in peace.
Lord talking to Abraham, right? He said you're going to go to your fathers in peace. What else?
Thou shalt be buried in a good old age.
Keep reading.
But in the fourth generation, they shall come hither again, for the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full.
So what happened once the time of the Amorites is full? You know what happened? The Lord tore down Egypt, took Pharaoh down. And guess what's about to happen at the end of this Gentile reign? The Lord is getting ready to do the same thing. This ain't got nothing to do with the fullness of the Gentile being Israel. This is talking about the fullness of the white man. Just like he was talking about the Africans at that particular time, they had a time when their time was over with. So in Romans 11, when he's talking about the fullness of the Gentile, he's talking about the Europeans that's running the world. Go to Luke chapter 21. Luke 21. Luke 21. Luke 21 is going to be it. Luke 21, we're going to pick this up at, start this at verse, start this at 24. Luke 21, verse 24. Go and read this from, what it say?
And they shall fall by the edge of the sword.
Talking about Israel, right? He said they're going to fall by the edge of the sword. What's going to happen?
And shall be led away captivity into all nations.
What?
Shall be led away in captivity? Captive. I'm sorry.
Right.
On my Bible, it said it like that.
It do?
It say like captive, but I just read
okay. All right. They're going to let it away captive. Where?
Yeah. Captive into all nations.
Into all nations, right? What it say?
In Jerusalem shall be trodden down.
Until when?
Of the Gentiles, until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled.
Right, so who we talking about? Right, because Israel, he just told you Israel about to go into captivity. Then he said they're going to be in captivity until how long? Until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled. Right, because they ruling the world right now. So back to Romans 13, Romans 11. And he said blindness in part has happened unto Israel until when?
Gentiles
until when? Until what? Romans 11 and 25. Read the end of verse 25. That blindness in part has happened to Israel until when?
Till the fullness of the Gentiles come in.
We talking about the European citizen, brother. You guys can give me a call. We can talk about it more. Please. I know. Oh yeah, he do all that. He do all that, but he's slick though. He real slick though. He'll say something, then he won't read everything else, and he'll move to something else real fast. I know that's what he doing. Yeah, that's what he do. He's slick. It seems like to me jealous though, but it's all good though. Lord gonna expose it real soon.
We talk to Joe's friend all the time, and he comes and sometimes he stays at our house. So we teach him. We told him about the Sabbath. We told him about eating pork. We told him the things that we know he could comprehend at the moment. Like you said, don't give him too much. Mm-hmm. So we do that. But then, and I was telling Deb, I had like you just said, a godly jealousy, because we exposed him and told him all these things about Christ and all this and that. But then he goes and spends Thanksgiving, cooks that mess and everything over there. So I really felt like Paul this week, because I'm like, wait a minute. It's like a waste. I'm wasting my time with you because I'm telling you this, we're telling you that, and this and that, and you're agreeing with us,
Right.
and telling people they going to hell, and he's telling people they shouldn't eat pork and they should keep the Sabbath and this and that. But then he goes right over there with them for Thanksgiving, put pictures of food with food he cooked and all this and that.
Mm-hmm.
So what should we do to him or say to him when he comes to us? Not do to him, but say,
Don't say nothing to him. Kick that door open. You trying to get that brother the word. He gonna come around. Okay. You ain't even gotta mention it. You ain't gotta bring the Lord to do it. You ain't finna be sitting up and getting this word think you gonna sit up and play with God like that. He gonna get you one way or the other. You ain't gotta say nothing. Just make sure that door stay open so you can keep preaching the word to him. That's all you gotta do. Believe me, the Lord gonna purge you. Yeah. Yeah, don't don't bash him because you want to keep him coming back. You want to keep him coming back. The goal is to win souls. So you fighting against Satan. You know, so I would hang in there, yeah. All right. We're gonna go ahead and close out. Go ahead.
Our Father, which art in heaven.
Our Father, which art in heaven.
Hallowed be thy name.
Hallowed be thy name.
Thy kingdom come.
Thy kingdom come.
Thy will be done in earth.
Thy will be done in earth.
As it is in heaven.
As it is in heaven.
Give us this day.
Give us this day.
Our daily bread.
Our daily bread.
And forgive us of our debts.
And forgive us our debts.
As we forgive our debtors.
As we forgive our debtors.
And lead us not into temptation.
And lead us not into temptation.
But deliver us from evil.
But deliver us from evil.
For thine is the kingdom.
Thine is the kingdom.
And the power.
And the power.
And the glory.
And the glory.
Forever.
Forever.
Praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord.
For he is good.
For he is good.
And his mercy.
And his mercy
endures forever. Praise the Lord God of Israel.
Praise the Lord God of Israel.
For he is good.
For he is good.
And his mercy endures forever.
And his mercy endures forever.
In Jesus' name we pray.
In Jesus' name we pray.
The Holy One of Israel.
The Holy One of Israel.
The King of Kings.
The King of Kings.
And the Lord of Lords.
The Lord of Lords.
The one true God.
The one true God.
And there is no other.
And there is no other.
Amen.
Amen. Hallelujah.
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 In Jesus' name.
In Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen.